Let's talk about California. Right now, there's a huge fight brewing over the future of housing. It's a classic standoff, really, between state lawmakers who have this massive vision for change and local communities who are digging in their heels to keep things the way they are. And believe me, how this all shakes out could change how and where we all live. So picture this. California has basically turned itself into a giant laboratory for housing reform. They're running this massive experiment, right? And the goal is simple: build more homes and build them a lot faster. But like with any big experiment, things can get a little messy. And that's the real question, isn't it? What happens when the experiment fights back? That's what we're going to get into today, this high-stakes battle between the state's big ambitions and the desire for local control. At the heart of all this is a really fundamental question. Who gets to decide what our communities look like? Should it be the state with these sweeping plans for what they see as a better future? Or should it be the people who actually live there, the ones who know their own neighborhoods inside and out? And make no mistake, the rest of the country is watching this very, very closely. Whatever happens in California's housing test lab is probably going to send ripples across the nation. So let's break down who's on each side. In one corner, you have state lawmakers and the YIMBY movement. That's Yes in My Backyard. These are pro-housing advocates who say the only way out of the affordability crisis is to build, build, build. In the other corner, you have local officials and community groups. They're trying to protect their neighborhoods from what they see as top-down, state-forced development. So how is the state trying to make its vision a reality? Well, for years now, lawmakers up in Sacramento have been pushing a pretty simple idea: more density. They've been passing laws to encourage building more apartments and condos, especially near public transit. Now, the centerpiece of this whole strategy is a law called Senate Bill 79, or SB 79 for short. This is a big one. It basically lets developers build apartments near transit lines, even if local zoning rules say they can't. It's a direct challenge to the power of local governments, and it's right at the center of this whole standoff. But here's the thing about SB 79. For its supporters, it's way more than just a housing bill. They see it as a kind of silver bullet that can tackle a whole bunch of problems at once, from climate change to inequality. They believe that if you build more housing near transit and you add in rules to make sure some of it is affordable, you can create a California that's more sustainable and prosperous for everyone. But the state isn't just playing offense, they're playing defense too. They passed a follow-up bill, SB 677, which is designed to, and I'm quoting here, tighten the screws. It's meant to close the loopholes that cities might use to block new housing. It's become this real cat and mouse game, you know? And the future of California's entire housing market is just hanging in the balance. Okay, so as the state pushes harder, the locals are definitely pushing back. But one of the most powerful opponents is, well, probably not who you'd expect. It's the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Yep, LA Metro, the transit agency. So how exactly is a transit agency fighting back? Well, their first move is a classic. They're attacking the law itself. They're arguing that the language in SB 79 is just so vague and confusing that it's basically impossible to enforce. It's a pretty clever tactic, and it's definitely creating a lot of uncertainty for developers and for city planners. But LA Metro's concerns go way deeper than just some fussy legal definitions. They're really worried about the real-world fallout from the state's plan. They're talking about the chaos it could create for planners, and maybe more importantly, the backlash it could cause in communities that feel like this unwanted development is being shoved down their throats. It all boils down to that classic idea of the carrot and the stick. See, before, a new transit line was like a carrot, a great investment for the community, a benefit. But now, with this law, that same transit line feels like a stick. It's become a trigger for state-mandated density, and that's actually turning a lot of people against new public transportation projects, which is ironic, to say the least. So, what's LA Metro's solution? Well, they're not just saying no. They're offering a compromise. They're asking the state to just slow down a bit, clarify the rules, and maybe test this whole plan out in the Bay Area before rolling it out across all of LA County. It sounds pretty reasonable, right? But the big question is, will the state even listen? Well, the pro-housing side was not impressed. In a pretty fiery response, YIMBY leader Nolan Gray basically issued a threat to LA Metro. He said, and this is a quote, "Legislators should remember this the next time they come to Sacramento begging for more money." So yeah, the battle lines are drawn. It's pretty clear neither side is backing down. And you know, what's fascinating is that this isn't just a California story, not at all. all across the country, we're seeing the same exact battle play out. It's become this nationwide tug of war between state governments trying to push for more housing and local communities that are fighting to keep things just the way they are. I mean, from the suburbs of Austin, Texas to the beaches of Miami, Florida, it's the same story. State lawmakers pass these bold new housing laws, and then they watch as local governments find all kinds of ways to undermine them. It's this intense political chess match, and the future of our cities is what's at stake. Take Florida, for example. They're already on their fourth try to get a comprehensive housing bill right. Every single time they close one loophole, local governments manage to find another one. It's this really frustrating cycle, and it just goes to show how incredibly difficult it is to get anything done on housing in this country. And so that brings us right back to California, where the next big test is about to begin. This whole standoff between the state government and LA Metro is so much more than just some local dispute. It's really a battle for the future of housing policy in America. So, what happens next? Well, there are really two possible roads here. In one future, LA Metro wins, the state backs down, and this whole thing becomes a cautionary tale for other states. In the other future, the state holds firm, and California creates a blueprint for how to get this stuff done. The choice seems clear, but the outcome is anything but. So, what's it gonna be? A blueprint for a bold new future, or a cautionary tale of going too far, too fast? The fate of California's housing experiment, and maybe the future of our cities, really hangs in the balance.